Hello, boys and girls. It's me, your teacher Marcelo. Um, I'm recording this video and doing this presentation for you to have a kind of help to do your group work. Uh, the first grade I ask you before, firstly, I ask you to do about a writer, okay? But as I heard from many of you that literature is not really your cup of tea, I made it a little bit broader. So you can choose an artist of any area you want to talk, but I would love if you choose somebody who is a multi artist, somebody who cover different areas of arts, right? And as giving you an example for you to follow, I choose one guy, and I will be focused on his. I'll talk a little bit about his musical works, but I will focus on his written works. Okay, so his name is Corey Taylor. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Corey Taylor's biography. Okay, so he was born Corey Todd Taylor in December the 8th, 1973. So he is an American singer, songwriter, actor, and author. He is also known as the lead vocalist and lyricist for bands like Slipknot and Stone Sour. So most of the people know him for Slipknot. Um, but of course, Slipknot for a while, the guys you didn't take off their masks, so nobody knew who was there. But nowadays, everybody knows who are the members of Slipknot. But beside this band, he also worked with Junk Beer Kidnap Band, Korn, Disturbed, Apocalyptica, Code Orange, Anthrax, Steel Panther, and Soulfly. Soulfly, for those of you who don't know, is the band that Max Cavalera from Sepultura uh, made after leaving Sepultura. So Soulfly is his follow-up band for his departure from Sepultura. So as you can see, uh, Corey Taylor is a guy who is musically busy, right? And we will talk about his two main bands just for you to know a little bit about it. So the first one we're gonna talk is Stone Sour. So it's a band that was formed in 1992, and then this band in 1997. But in 2000 they reunited, okay, and since 2015 they have the lineup consisted of Corey Taylor as a lead vocals and guitar, Josh Ryan as a guitar player. Josh is a kind of the closest partner of Corey in this band. Christian Martucci in the guitar, and Christian was replacing Jim Root, who is the guitar player for Slipknot, and he plays in Stone Sour for a while. Johnny Cho is the bass player, and Roy Mayorga on the drums. Roy Mayorga is an ex-drummer for a band named Soulfly, the same Soulfly that I told you before that it was Max Cavalera's band after leaving Sepultura. And then we also talk about Slipknot because Corey Taylor is hugely famous because of this band. So Slipknot was found in 1995. It was found by percussionist Shaw Crahan, drummer Joy Jordison, and bassist Paul Gray. Joy Jordison is not in the band anymore because he was fired, and Paul Gray he's not in the band because he died allegedly from overdose. Right. Uh, this band is a very interesting band because they have 9 members, and during more than one decade they had the same 9 members. So you have to imagine it's really difficult. Those of you who have been know how difficult it is to keep together a three-piece band, a four-piece band, five-piece band. Can you imagine a nine-piece band? two DJs, two percussionists, two guitar players, a drummer, a bass player, a singer. So it was really a kind of miracle that it happened. Uh, but nowadays they had the last change the band has, it was the addition of the percussionist Tortilla Man, that people keep on talking to see who is this guy, who is not this guy. Anyway, but now he is there, replacing the percussionist Chris Fan, that he's suing the band for being left out of the band. Now, talking about Corey Taylor as an author, uh, we're gonna show some books up that he wrote and talk a little bit about that. I will be focusing more about the last one, that is the book that I read. Okay. So first one, we're gonna talk about a book named Seven Deadly Sins, right? So as you see in the cover of the book is Corey Taylor with some horns, a cigarette, and a cup, I guess, of whiskey, right? So in this book, he's talking about the typical life of a rock and roller. So sex, drugs, rock and roll, excesses. So sins are committed all the time, and people don't care about it because when you were famous, rich, and wanted, people accept a lot of things. For example, the typical rock and roller story is when they start to destroy hotel rooms. Imagine yourself or myself, we are ordinary people. If you try to destroy a hotel room, we're gonna have a lot of problems, right? But a rock and roller can do things that are different from ordinary people. Sometimes they will destroy uh, these rooms, and people in the hotel will be like delighted about it, right? So in this book, he also discussed the meaning of what is a good or a bad person in a way of their behavior. Okay, so this is seven deadly sins. But on the other hand, he has the book A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to Heaven. So if in Seven Deadly Sins he was talking about the material experience, uh, this thing about the body and the connection of the body with the pleasure. In this other book, he's talking about ghost spirits, beyond the grave events. So this is interesting to show you how Corey is a very peculiar individual, because at the same time he's worried about the typical things, ordinary things, material things. He's also worried about the spiritual things, and he's talking about meeting ghosts and things like that. So actually, every person is like that, you know. Sometimes we are connected to our more earthly life, and other times we think about what is beyond that, you know. He also in this book talks a little bit about his religious background, and that's interesting because most of the time what we see uh, as out of the real world, it's related to our religious background. For example, there are some people that see the image of Jesus whatever they see. It's because they were taught in this Christian religion, and the figure of Jesus is something amazing for them. But in some cultures that the figure of Jesus is not so important, they will look for the image and they will not see Jesus at all. You know, they will even question the person. Well, I don't see Jesus at all. I don't see nobody over there. You know, so religious background has to do with the way you deal with life after life. Uh, America 51 is his latest book, and talks about what means to be an American. Of course, he's from the United States. When he says American, he's talking about people from the United States. United States. Me personally, I prefer the expression United Staters, right? Because America is everybody who is in the continent. Okay. Besides that, the book has a lot of humor, outrage, and disbelief about American values and things like that. So Corey's writing is very harsh, direct, politically incorrect, and for my taste, it's perfect. I love the way he writes. I love the way he sings. I love his interviews because he's a guy who is ready to talk the truth, no matter who gets hurt by it. Okay. And the last book we're gonna talk. You are making hate you. You are making me hate you. Is a very funny book. It's the book of Corey Taylor that I read. I bought this book because I had to. And so it's related to George Carlin. George Carlin was a comedian, right? And Corey has this sense of humor that it's very sharp, politically incorrect, and he talks about ordinary people's life and the way people are assholes, actually. And I remember, and he talks about music, the current state of music in the United States that he hates. Now, he talks about Justin Bieber. And I remember one chapter, and he's talking about that situation. He's going to the airport. He's delayed to get his plane, and when he's going, there is this old lady in front of him walking like a turtle, and he feels like Jesus Christ. I want to kick the girl off. And actually, it's not a problem to think about that. The problem is to do this. So, in this book, he shows very clearly that if you think bad things, it doesn't mean you are a bad person. It doesn't mean you're gonna do these bad things. It's just a way to put your emotions out, right? And let's face it. Now, when you are late for something and there's somebody walking in front of you really slow, of course you are angry because you have a commitment to do, and there's somebody that it's bothering your way, right? So this is a little bit about Corey Taylor. I hope this class helped you to do your own presentation, and see you tomorrow or another day. Thanks very much. Peace, love, and harmony.